Hi everyone, I hope you're good. Apologies for the strange camera angle, although I think that's okay actually. I've lost another selfie stick, and yet another one. I don't know how I managed to do it. So I'm balancing my phone on top of a box against a pint glass. So whilst at the same time I'm feeding the dog bits of carrot. Diamond, there you go, boy. Because he's a bit lively this morning, aren't you? Hey. Anyway, so if you do hear any scuffling around or squeaky toys, it's the dog, but he should be quiet while I'm feeding these carrots. Anyway, so I think David Icke's been watching one of my videos. Now, I'm sure he hasn't, but he said something the other day that I'm taking credit for because I've been saying it for 2.5 years, and I love David Icke. He's a big influence on me. But he said he was talking about the awake movement, and he said nobody's awake, we're all just waking up. And that's what I've been saying. I don't like the term. I've been saying that for a couple of years. I don't like the term awake because it has an air of finality about it, an air of like almost omnipotence about it. You know everything. You can't learn anything else. And I don't like that because we know an infinitesimally small number of things that there are to know, and I'm definitely of the school of thought that the more that you do learn and the more that you know, or you think that you know, the more actually confusing that life gets and the more confusing things become, because every question answered just opens up a new question, doesn't it? And there are an infinite number of ways of looking and perceiving things. Diamond, come on. Sorry. Come on, sit. Good boy. And there's a reason why I'm talking about that today. And again, it's something that I have created content about before. And it's about this kind of siege mentality, almost, well, not almost, no, I definite ideological slant to the awake movement, the truther community. And I still don't know what to call the group of people who stood up against tyranny. I don't know. The wonderful group of people who've stood up against the tyranny and who've stood firm, who've resisted the jab mandates, resisted the lockdowns, resisted the masks. You know the score. And in a way, I've always been uncomfortable because I don't want to be part of any group, really. I admire things like character and values rather than, as you know, group identity. Diamond, there you go. Another carrot. So, and the reason I'm talking about that, and I'm also, well, I'll come to the book in a minute. The reason I'm talking about that is because something that really, really bothers me is the continuing negativity, doom and gloom, and pessimism, and labelling of people as controlled opposition and shills and all the rest of it. If they don't conform exactly to what people within the truther movement, or whatever you want to call it, thinks they should be. Diamond, come on. I'll take this squeaky toy off him for the time being. There you go. I'll just keep feeding you carrot. Right, so now added to that, and that's what I want to talk about today. It's something that's it doesn't just piss me off. It's something that I feel it needs to be looked into, really, because there's a whole kind of idea indoctrination that's gone on amongst many in this so-called truther community as well. I want to explain how that is, and I'll tell you what's helped me to come to this, not come to the conclusion, because what Mattias Desmet said in this book with relation to this, I've already talked about. He's just crystallised a few things. Now, incidentally, this book is brilliant. Buy it, seriously. I got it as a Christmas present. I think it might be about 12 quid. Seriously, get this. It is absolutely brilliant. It's so insightful and shines a light on how society has got itself into a position to be able to be controlled in such a way, drawing on many historical conclusions, particularly from Nazi Germany and Soviet Union, Russia as well. So honestly, definitely get this book, Mattias Desmet. You'll all have heard of him. Now, he focuses mostly on how the seeds were sown for totalitarianism, how society was there's another squeaky toy, just get that one as well. Come on. There's some carrots. Look. There you go. Sorry about this. And focuses mainly on the totalitarian control of the masses and how that's happened, and also how the leaders of the totalitarian regime, how they now his theory is that they also fall prey to an ideology, and his theory is that there is no plan, and that the ideology is something that kind of almost organically presents itself as the most, or engineers itself organically and naturally as the most dominant ideology of all, one that presents an opportunity for control. So whilst he agrees with the lies and the manipulations and the downright evil of it, he's more of the opinion of evil as the banality of evil. As Hannah Arendt, if any of you have ever heard of her, she talked about the banality of evil, and how, in the name of pursuing a utopian ideology, it's the idea that drives the policies, the behaviour, the tyranny and the suffering. And in pursuit of that, then nothing can stand in the way, even if it's, as in Stalin's Russia, tens of millions of people dying. So now there's a point of contention straight away for many people who would, I'm sure, and he talks about it in his book, how he's been labelled as controlled opposition for having that viewpoint, for saying that he doesn't believe that there's a grand plan, but that he focuses more on the psychological side of how totalitarianism can grip the masses, and this mania can grab the puppet masters. Now, I don't think I agree with him, because I think that there quite clearly is a plan that's been set in motion. From what I set in motion for a number of decades, from what I can see, the Great Reset, UN Agenda 2030, lockstep, you know it all. I think that there is. So I actually disagree with him, and that's on that. But that's fine, isn't it? To disagree on one point of argument, and still come to the conclusion that this is one of the most influential and impactful books I've ever read. And this is the point that I want to get to. So, Diamond, there you go, boy. Because I have this saying, I've said it quite a few times: create, don't regurgitate. Create, don't regurgitate. There is still so much mindless sharing of information on, I'm not in any Telegram groups really now. I'm in one or two. But when I do dip in to a couple of things like Twitter, and I see comments on YouTube videos, and I know I've talked about this before, about it's people just regurgitating things. I'll see things like these comments that appear all over the place, and I see them just repeated ad infinitum. There we go. And why is that? Why is that? Well, I think it's because in the again, the truther community, the awake community, whatever you want to call it, there's a real appetite to find out all about this conspiracy, and to find out every detail of the different conspiracies that I actually, as you know, agree with. I think are happening. Oh, sorry, I meant to say before, Mattias Desmet, his argument is that those who stand up against the tyranny and the totalitarianism, his argument in the book is that group of people, the 30%, he divides groups into 30, 40 and 30. 30% who will stand firm, 30% who will believe anything and submit, and 40% who won't really believe it but will just submit anyway because they're weak. But his argument is that amongst the 30% of people who resist the evil regime, there there is a high percentage in them who also need something to cling on to. They need their suffering and their confusion to be distilled into, to be simplified and distilled into one reason why it's happening. Hence why people become obsessed with the conspiracy angle about what Klaus Schwab's doing, what Bill Gates is doing, what Tony Blair's doing, what the Clintons are doing, all about that. Now, again, as I've remarked before, I'm interested in the conspiracy. I always put it like that, conspiracy, because conspiracy theories in inverted commas, because as far as I can see, they're not conspiracy theories, they're actual conspiracies that are true based on what I've seen, and I've talked about this before. But as you know, I'm much more interested in society and how the masses are, and how we're manipulated, and the reasons for that, the precedent for that, human nature, psychology, sociology, philosophy. I'm interested in all of those really big debates. And ever since 2020 and the COVID bollocks struck, I've always been quite perturbed actually with the utter obsession of many, continuing obsession about what they are doing. They're doing this, they're doing this, they're doing this, this is going to happen, this is going to happen, this is going to happen. The balance hasn't been there, in my opinion, enough between us in this, whatever it's called, generating our own ideas on our own points of debate, points of contention. Diamond, what's this? He's eating my slippers. What's this? Sit. All right, just eat then. Because as I see not that many people creating, but a lot of people regurgitating, watching stuff and regurgitating, sharing. Primarily related to what the main protagonists of this evil are doing, and what they are going to do, and primarily negative in nature. So when I read this book, and he dedicates most of it to the dumb, unethical masses, and makes a great argument that the behaviour of many in the last few years is explained by the fact that their kind of internal ethics and moral compass was already askew, was already out of kilter before this happened, and all that the puppet masters did was understand that and then prey on that. So he described it as people living with tactical ethics rather than moral ethics. I.e., when times are good, it's okay to fit in. When times are bad, when you really do need to understand those ethics and those morals, well, people they don't have them, or a lot of people don't. Now, I'm doing this video at a time as well when I'm hearing a lot of people talking about the dam's about to burst. I mean, I think the dam already has burst in terms of the ugly truth being outed, and it has for a long time. But in terms of what are the masses going to do about it now, I'm going to do a video about that. Hello, come on, Diamond. But I'm passionate, as you know, about. I'm going to do another video about how narratives need to be simplified for so many people, and let's not kid ourselves that we haven't seen that as well amongst certain circles in the. I never know I'll have to come up with a name. The truther community, about how certain narratives have to be. Everything needs to be black and white. You need to believe X, Y, and Z. You need to be on board with who's controlled opposition, and you need to participate in this weird race to be the next to denounce somebody, or to rain on someone's parade if they've got some bad news, or just to deliver some bad news. So I say that as someone who, there we go, most of my videos, definitely since my dad died, the majority of them I think have been negative in nature. I can't deny that. But I try to dive deep into a particular issue, and if I come to a negative conclusion, I try to explore why. I try to, I do a 15-minute video, wandering down different avenues trying to find like some kind of underpinning explanation to what it is I'm feeling and what it is I'm seeing. So creating content essentially, rather than just going click send. See, another thing that I continue to notice is videos from 2 years ago being shared and people assuming that it's just happened yesterday, and it hasn't. You know, it's not paying attention. Well, is this real? You know, and what does this mean? You know, what who sent this? You know, what are their intentions? What do I want to say about it? Well, that takes work to do, doesn't it? You know? So, at a time when people have woken up, the real responsibility for many of us lies in, I say it again, imbuing our lives with good conversation, stimulating conversation, creativity, thinking, and coming up with solutions to the problems that we've got. Now, this is, I've said before on many occasions, why Diamond, here, there you go, why I really love my YouTube channel, because I love the subscribers that I've got, because I think many of you understand what it is I'm talking about here, understand the need to broaden and deepen and not obsess over worst case scenarios, over what evil tyrants are doing, and most of all, able to entertain that different people have different ideas. We're all on the same boat. There's tens of millions, hundreds of millions of people now in the world, maybe billions, who are all on the same board with they don't like how their lives are being controlled. They don't like the intense suffering that they are seeing, the death and destruction, and they're doing something about it. So many of us are on the same, and that's absolutely amazing. But how many of them are actively and creatively contributing to solving the problems that we have as a society? And how many are just mindlessly obsessing about, as I say, World Economic Forum, UN, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, you know, the deep state and all the rest of it, which, as I say, it's all true as far as I can see, absolutely. But the main element to solving our problems, as I passionately argue time and time again, here we go, is on the micro level, not on the macro level. On the micro level is the conversation we have with ourselves, the conversations that we have with those around us, our family and friends, taking that responsibility, and where we can, creatively adding to the debate in whatever way that we can. No, John, come up here for a minute. Come on. No? Okay. Some more carrots. So, I just wanted to say that really. Certainly the angle that Mattias Desmet in his book here comes at with regard to brainwashing existing in the awakened masses is really interesting. Because when he said that, I thought, yes, I see evidence of, and I really do, I see evidence of conspiratorial thinking for the sake of it. Absolutely everything that we once believed is a lie. That's not true. You see, that isn't true. And it's important that whilst we have been subjected to so much manipulation, lies and deception, not everything in our lives has been a lie. It hasn't. We can't go down that path. But I see the brainwashing in terms of this fixation, this utter fixation, and I see it manifesting also in this siege mentality. I see people saying things like, if you weren't on board by mid-2020, you're part of the problem, or this particular doctor, they only started speaking out a year into or 2 years into it. So what? I couldn't give a toss. As long as now they're saying the right things, as long as they're highlighting the lies, as long as they're standing up for medical ethics and bodily autonomy, and they want the truth to be represented, and they're speaking out, as long as they're doing it now, it doesn't matter when people find the courage. As long as they do, it is unhelpful, and it pisses me right off when people are so quick to denounce controlled opposition and shield. I'm sure if my channel was bigger, said 2 million or said 100,000 subscribers, and I might have been, you know, relatively well known doing this video, there'd be people in the comments saying, oh yeah, just another shield, just another controlled opposition. What? Simply because I'm thinking for myself, because I'm challenging some conventional wisdom on our side, so to speak. Well, no, that's not how it works, you know. And the best societies, ones that are built on fundamentally on debate and ideas, consist of individuals who are able to tolerate different ideas and different opinion. So going back right to the start, nobody's awake. What David Icke says, which I've been saying for a few years, we're waking up. There are, it's important to remember as well that just because someone describes themselves as awake, yes, they might be fully abreast, fully aware of the conspiracies. And as I say, they are conspiracies against us. They may be fully aware of everything. They give you every small little detail of everything that's been planned, everything that's been successfully executed, everything that's about to come. And that's all interesting. But they may also, and I would argue some of them are, incapable of like proper emotional intelligence and being able to challenge themselves internally, being able to have a good debate, and being able to see the positives where they exist, and being able to just to have a conversation. You know, that's emotional intelligence. So it's unhelpful to really this label awake. I've never liked it. I've never liked it, because it kind of gives us carte blanche. It gives us a free pass, really. We're awake, they're asleep, so we can't learn anything from them. And probably even worse, there's nothing that we can learn anything anyway, because we know it all. I think there's an element of that going on. So let's finish this coffee. Diamond, come on. Do you want to come up here for the end of the video? Yeah, come on. No, he doesn't want to come up for some reason. Never mind. Anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, on what I've said today. Do leave me a comment in the comments. Share the video, and don't forget to subscribe. As ever, thanks again. As I said a few minutes ago, I love my YouTube channel and everyone who comments and subscribes, because I think you understand intuitively what it is that, and logically, I think you just understand what it is that I'm talking about here. But yeah, so the message from me really is, as David Icke said, copying what I said. He must have watched one of my videos. None of us are awake, but waking up. Okay, I'll speak to you all soon. Bye bye.